Where's the bit that supports his argument?
Okay, I think it's this bit.
Well, right now, those particles are not colliding on anything. They may be bumping into each other, okay? So
if they're bumping into each other, they're colliding, right?
Maybe colliding against each other. But what surface are they exerting a force on? It's not until I put an object in that area for those air particles to collide off that I'm going to be able to measure a pressure of 14.7 psi. They need the area to bounce off, to change their momentum against, to create that force, to create that pressure. So this is where the comment, no balloon, no pressure come from, that they obviously take out of context and twist because they're intellectually dishonest and they don't fully understand the concepts and they don't want to understand the concepts. So if I have a balloon here, right, what I was talking about with the whole no balloon, no pressure, I'm talking about the outside of the balloon. If the balloon is there, then the particles are going to strike the outside of the balloon and they're going to cause a pressure of 14.7 psi. You take the balloon away, what surface are they now hitting? The knot. So flat earthers seem to think that somehow the air pushes like a rod, and that fixed sort of structure will push against the ceiling, push against the floor, and unless the air has something to push off, similar to the ridiculous comments about rockets in space, unless the air has something to push off, or unless it's pushing off itself, there can be no pressure pushing outwards. But that, of course, is absolutely ridiculous.
That's called a straw man.
おい、デュエルしろよ。カードはもらった。
That's his response.
Is that it? What's that?
That's part of it. But this is where it gets really bad. But that's the fluff. You just heard the fluff.
I like how he's got all these air particles in a container, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
so far he's done nothing but support our argument.
Should I play this last section again? Because this is the section that all the ballers will hear. They'll ignore everything else. This is what they'll hear.
Anthony, just let me get it straight. So far, he has done nothing but support our argument. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is the bit that ballers will hear.
Similar to the ridiculous comments about rockets in space. Unless the air has something to push off, or unless it's pushing off itself, there can be no pressure pushing outwards. But that, of course, is absolutely ridiculous.
So that's the bit that the ballers will hear, that bit.
Wait, unless the air is pushing off itself?
He's saying that there's some kind of rod. He thinks that we think that there's some kind of rod between these two. It's complete and utter straw man. Nobody's ever said that, ever. But the ballers will think it's ridiculous, our straw man arguments, because he said it's ridiculous. But we never even argued this. This is not our position, but he's told them it's our position. It's called gaslighting, and it's straw man argument. We didn't make it.
Who cares? He's just done nothing but support our argument. This is why I discarded him. Who cares? I've got my quotes. His position hasn't changed. You see that box? Right? Earth doesn't have that around it. So you know what's going to happen to all those molecules inside that box if you open the box? And the outside of the box has got a differential of pressure, let's say 10 to the minus 17 torr. All those little dots inside that box are going to fuck right off into that empty space. Now that would be space is his religious belief. So conspiracy flaps, you stupid twat. If you don't have that box, all of those little dots are going to fuck off into that empty space. That's your religion. You've got us with no box around us and a massive differential, 10 to the minus 17 torr, that the gas doesn't go into. All bollocks. All supported by every word he just said.
Yeah. So for the next...
Riley, at some point in this video, does he open the box and explain how the air molecules can stay in the box or something like that? Something to that effect? Or...
Well, just before we get to it, let's just hear what he says here, because this next 2 minutes section, right, it ramps up significantly because it gets that crazy by the end of it. It is just garbage. I mean, what he's talking about here, it doesn't matter. Let's listen to what he says. But just notice how it ramps up with the severity of his claim, right? So let's listen to it. It's crazy. Make that bigger.
They need to be striking a surface. That's what pressure is.
Just play that again.
Between pressure.
Yeah. This is one of the bits that I've spliced out. This is like one of those sound clips. You ready?
They need to be striking a surface. That's what.
Right.
This is just a fill-in for the people that aren't getting this. The basic principle behind it is, in order for pressure to work, it needs to be in a container. The pressure is the atmosphere which we live in. And the ball earthers will tell you that the gravity is holding down the pressure, yet the gravity is a theory and cannot be proven and has not been proven. So it becomes a religious belief, and based on a religious belief backed by pseudoscience, they will continue to perpetuate their lie and continue to put layer upon layer upon layer of lies. This is ridiculous. The second law of thermodynamics does not allow pressure to work unless it is in a container. And this is the whole point that these gentlemen are trying to make. And it is absolutely ridiculous. And this is just going to continue on until somebody fucking corners them. You know, like the sneaky little rats they are.
At the top, what are they striking? Oh, they're striking a vacuum that's 10 to the minus 17 torr. Yeah, I think not. Space is fake, as ably illustrated here by conspiracy cats. They've got to strike something. And what happens if they strike a vacuum? Oh, they don't. They disperse into it. Yeah, that's right, conspiracy flaps. You complete moron. You've supported our argument again. How many more times? How deep do you want to dig yourself into this hole?
He's balls deep. He's like Wiggles. That's how deep he is at the minute. He's as stupid as Wiggles.
He is. He's thick. I mean, I earlier, right, on the show was saying I get really annoyed with teachers because they're smarter, because they get it, right? Flat Earth math drives me mad. I see red because I just...
You've got to understand that the indoctrination process does not allow for free thinking. After they are fully indoctrinated, their minds literally can't think outside the box. You cannot have a pressurized system without it being in a container. And Earth, as demonstrated as in space, is not a container. Now, recently brought into light, just in the last 3 or 4 days, NASA has opened up and said, we've made a major new discovery, and now Earth's atmosphere goes well beyond the moon. This, of course, is ridiculous, and it's just going to continue and continue. People need to get together, and they need to stop this nonsense. And that's exactly what it is it's nonsense perpetuated by pseudoscience. I mean, come on. Also, if you look up on definitions in Wikipedia or any definition on Google for how the Earth is layered, it will go into detail of a core and multiple layers. And then you can look and then see how far we've actually dug into the Earth. And you will find they have not dug more than 8 miles. Yet they are teaching this to your children, my children, and everyone's children that this is scientific fact. However, that is not the case. It's a continual perpetuating of lies and disgusts me to the core.
The outer core and the inner core.
Okay, briefly speaking, the Earth has 4 layers. The solid crust on the outside, the mantle, and the core, split between the outer core and the inner core. Okay, watch this.
Peninsula of Russia reached 12,262 meters and is the deepest penetration of the Earth's solid surface.
The Kola super deep borehole in the peninsula of Russia reached 12,262 meters, which is 9.1 kilometers. That's the farthest they've ever dug. Yet I just showed you what they are telling our children and other people what the earth is made of. How can they tell you that that's what it's made of when this clearly states that's the farthest that they've dug? Obviously, there's a conflict in truth here. It's sickening.